Around Halloween, we love all things spooky and scary, so of course I had to make my way over to Frankfort at the Kentucky Historical Society. I'm joined by Julie Kemper, the senior curator out here, and you have pulled some really fun artifacts. So what all did you bring today?
Well, I thought we might look a little bit at those traditions that kind of make us feel the creeps up our spine. And so a lot of that actually revolves around the Victorian period, especially. Thanks to Queen Victoria that we get a lot of our morning traditions. And so part of that is things that people made to remember their loved ones. So one of our earliest pieces is actually a funeral card that was made and given out for the death of Henry Clay. Henry Clay was a statesman, a U.S. Senator from Kentucky. On this piece, what you're seeing is a three-dimensional wooden urn, which was a very common symbol, and we still see today in our spooky Halloween decoration.
And so Halloween makes us think of cemeteries and keeping memory of lost ones alive. So what ways have Kentuckians done that throughout history?
So what we have here is a piece of paper art that was made in memory of a young Union soldier. He was killed in battle in 1862. He was only 17 years old when he died. So you can imagine having something to remember him from his family, something that was in the house all the time. And that's kind of strange to us today. But you know, that's what people did. Now what's interesting is although we don't have that kind of funeral art or mourning art like we used to, we still have some interesting things that have come along. For example, this piece was left at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Frankfort. And although this is not the kind of artwork of that paper piece, it still is showing that need to make something, to remember something, to leave it behind. Another one that I find really interesting, this is from 2016, so it was right after Muhammad Ali passed away. This young person, I assume, left a memory for Muhammad Ali, so maybe our connection to those who passed, you know, is still in art in one way or another.
So in a lot of, scary movies, Halloween movies, we see that woman in black, that's really iconic. And so you have some pieces that kind of shows that in Kentuckian history, right?
Yeah, so mourning tradition would have widows or mothers who lost loved ones, following some traditions that Queen Victoria laid out actually when her beloved husband died. And so all black for mourning became a tradition. But the thing is that lots of people wore completely black dresses because it was very functional and practical. So one of the things we look for to pick a mourning dress from something else is what it's made of. So the dress you see here is actually made of a wool crepe, and that's really important because it's not shiny. There's no lace. It's very plain. It dates to about 1918, and so it's a little bit after that high Victorian period, but definitely the steps of mourning went from full black to black with a little lace to then purple or even a really dark green. Working backwards through time here, this little cap, it looks like for its little girl, but it actually just sat on the back of the head, and it dates to about 1875. And again, what we're seeing is not flashy materials, no lace, it's purely decorative. Also, this veil that's sitting right here is about 1900. Women would have worn these immediately after death of their loved one, but also someone who was in high mourning would have worn it for maybe 6 months or a year, depending on their traditions. But my absolute favorite is this tiny little brooch. It was not unusual at all for folks of means to have a photograph put in a brooch, or sometimes even a ring, some kind of jewelry of their loved one. And so this is from the 1860s, and it's this little girl. We actually don't know her name. We don't know exactly what family this belonged to, but this was a way for folks to keep their loved ones next to them. And so you put this whole thing together, all these different pieces, and then you get that sort of dour looking woman, the widow that we see in the movies today, that always gives us that little bit of chill.
So be sure to check out all the information that was here at history.ky.gov. Happy Halloween, everyone!